Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about Vanderson, a Brazilian right back that has been linked with Barcelona before, but we do have very big movements going on, and a big update has been stated by one of the most reliable sources coming from Brazil, and he has claimed Deco wants Vanderson. He's going to try and sign him this summer. The player will be delighted to come. Hansi Flick also feels a fullback signing is needed. He also continued to explain that Barcelona do want Vanderson and Monaco are aware of their interest. Barcelona has been working behind the scenes to ensure that everything is in order before they begin negotiations. Currently right now, Vanderson is on top of Barcelona's list of fullbacks. We even do have Fabrizio Romano, who has claimed that Vanderson would be excited to come to Barcelona. Deco has a good relationship with his agent, and there are still other names in the list too. Now keep in mind, yes, Barcelona do have a list, and another player that is contained in that list is Rațiu. Mateo Moreto has also claimed that Barcelona is still keeping an eye on Rațiu and plan to inquire more about the right back in the coming weeks. But we're not going to be talking about Rațiu for this video. We're going to be fully focused on Vanderson and why Vanderson is the top priority to reinforce the right back position. Like, what makes this player so special? Why does Barcelona want to try and achieve this signing again? Because the last time Barcelona were interested in Vanderson was 3 years ago, back in 2022. When he was playing at Grêmio, he had to decide whether he wanted to join Monaco or FC Barcelona. But because at that time, Barcelona did have a lot of financial constraints, it was really hard for Barcelona to make any moves. And it was around that time where we needed to transition away from Dani Alves. Barcelona at that time were looking at Vanderson, Jules Koundé, Joao Cancelo, Azpilicueta, but we couldn't sign any of those players in the winter of 2022. Of course, 6 months later, Barcelona achieved the signing of Jules Koundé, and he ultimately became Barcelona's best right back. But Vanderson was supposed to be a Barcelona player today, and it became even more difficult after Vanderson played a few games with Monaco. It was said later that year in 2022, Monaco put a price tag of 60 million euros on Vanderson. So Joan Laporta, Mateo Lemán at that time just knew that there was no chance for them to ever get Vanderson, or at the very least for the next 2 years. Fast forward 3 years later, of course, with Barcelona getting financially stronger, with a better sports team, a better coach, etc., Barcelona is in a much better position to bring Vanderson to the club. So let's talk about this player, right? Let's talk about why Barcelona are so keen on signing him. So he did emerge as one of the most promising right backs in European football a few years ago. And right now, at the age of 23 years old, the Brazilian defender has developed a very distinctive profile that does place him among the top performers in League One with Monaco. Vanderson did begin his journey at Grêmio, and he made his debut with Grêmio on December 28th, 2020, where they won 2-1, and his impact was immediate. He scored his first professional goal in his second match as a right back, and throughout those months at Grêmio, Vanderson did face a lot of competition in his position because there was another player named Rafinha. Not Rafinha from Leeds or the player that we know today, but Rafinha, the one that previously played for Bayern Munich. But despite this challenge, Vanderson established himself in the starting lineup quickly and demonstrated his talent and his elite mentality. During his time at Grêmio, he accumulated 59 appearances, scored 5 goals across all competitions before moving to Europe. So on January 1st, 2022, Vanderson made the significant leap to European football and signed a 5-year contract with Monaco, which takes him until June 2027 with a transfer fee of 11 million euros. This move made him the 23rd Brazilian player to represent Monaco, which did continue a rich tradition of Brazilian talent in Monaco. So as months went by, one of the most fascinating things that happened was his positional evolution. He originally developed with strong attacking tendencies, but he gradually transitioned to a right back while maintaining his offensive capabilities. So he primarily operates as a right back. 86% of the time he is playing, he's on the right back position. Sometimes he does play as a right midfielder, which is the other 14%. So his versatility does allow his managers to be tactically flexible. So even though he took a much more defensive position, Vanderson's attacking instincts did remain a defining characteristic of his game. In the 2024-2025 season, he contributed in 2 goals and 4 assists in 34 competitive matches, generating 0.07 goals and 0.13 assists per 90 minutes. So his technical security is very high, and he's being described as a very secure, technically gifted player by others in Monaco. I would say that he's not really much of a runner, even though yes, I know that he does that sometimes as a right back, but he's much more of a taker, right? Like when he does have the ball and he has to take on players, he's really good at that. So it is an upgrade to Jules Koundé when it comes to 1v1 duels. He's more daring on the ball, and he likes to attempt difficult passes that do carry high risk, but with great reward, which really does remind us of how Barcelona do play today under Hansi Flick. High risk, high reward. So his playing style does align with what Barcelona do today. In terms of his defensive dominance and his statistics, this is going to be his statistics for the League One in this season and how he compares with the other right backs in League One. He averages 3.13 14 tackles per 90 minutes, which places him on the 92nd percentile, 1.62 interceptions per 90, which places him on the 89th percentile, 6.20 ground duels per 90 minutes, 83rd percentile, and then we do have 2.46 clearances per 90 minutes, which places him in the 72nd percentile. So clearly you can see here that his best attribute right now is his tackles. So he has exceptional ability to read the game defensively and engage in a lot of defensive actions. Vanderson has been known to employ a aggressive defensive style that does set him apart to other players. So this proactive approach would allow him to disrupt opposition attacks very early and transition his team quickly from defense to offense. So just think about Pedro Porro, a right back that everybody does know. Vanderson shows higher rates of tackles and interceptions compared to Pedro. So he does have a much more aggressive defensive mindset. This is going to be very important for a right back at FC Barcelona. There's a reason why Hansi Flick denied the full operation of Joao Cancelo. He knew that Joao Cancelo can bring great attacking attributes, which is why he provided a lot of assists and also a lot of goals, but he knew that Joao Cancelo was a liability defensively. Hence the reason why, fast forward 9 months later, Barcelona are looking at Vanderson instead of Joao Cancelo, a much more defensive right back. So his current market value does stand at 30.61 million euros, which makes a lot of sense because of his performances, the amount of games and minutes he does accumulate. He has like 2,731 minutes this season. This guy does get used a lot. So I do think that Monaco are placing a reasonable price tag on the player. It could be 35, it could be 40, or it could be 28 or 27 million euros. It's going to be around that price range. But in terms of like where he is good at, it's going to have to be his defensive game for sure. With a team that does implement a high defensive line, we need a player who can run back as fast as possible and know how to intercept, tackle, and regain the ball as fast as possible. As of right now, there are 3 things that Vanderson has to work on if he really wants to become one of the best right backs in the world. Point number 1 is going to be his aerial duels. He's really not that tall. I mean, like Jules Koundé is also not that tall, but still, it would help for him to be a little bit taller. So his aerial duel training is going to have to get better, right? His timing. And then point number 2 is sometimes he does get too aggressive with his defensive style, meaning that sometimes he does overcommit, which leads to him being dribbled past 0.78 times per 90 minutes. This is something to consider. And then point number 3, which does align with the second point, and that is his discipline record. Sometimes he cannot control his aggression, and sometimes, yes, he does get more yellow cards than he should. Right now in this season, he does have 9 yellow cards and 1 red card. So that's 0.33 cards per 90 minutes. But that is it, right? Like all in all, like all these points that I have just made, it can be fixed. And outside of that, Vanderson does seem like a very ideal candidate to reinforce the right back position, and it's going to greatly help Jules Koundé on getting some rest. I mean, like, bro, at the time that I'm recording this video, Jules Koundé is playing for the French national team, and you're telling me that in 4 days he has to come back, train, rest, and be ready for the match against Osasuna on Thursday this week? It's crazy. And so we'll see what Barcelona do from here. To me, I would greenlight this player. I would really like to see Vanderson at Barcelona in this upcoming summer. Let me know in the comment sections down below. Do you believe Vanderson is the perfect signing for FC Barcelona in the right back position, or do you see somebody else coming to Barcelona in the summer? What right back do you guys have in mind? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.